Hello, I'm Gareth A Davies, and this is the Championship Rounds for Pitch Boxing, where I bring you all the interviews from the combat sports world. Enjoy. There is the troublesome one, the Gypsy King, the king of the heavyweight division.
How are you then, Corey?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Long and loose and full of juice.
Can't
Swinging
wait
to
see
the
you.
side.
Well,
Windmilling.
I was hoping to pop up and see you next week.
Yeah, press conference. You'll see me.
Oh, is there a press conference next week?
No, on Wednesday, ain't it, before the fight? Or Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it is.
I was hoping to come up and visit just before as well.
No, there's no visits down here.
No? You're good though, yeah?
Yeah, still alive. Anyway, take it easy.
Looking ready to
talk out on camera.
And ready to rock and roll with 94,000 people there?
Get up there, my boy!
It's going to be a great night. It's very weird seeing your opponent though. It's very weird. Take care. Cheers. Well, Tommy Fury, it's great to see you. Looking in great shape. We've just had a tiny little appearance from Tyson saying hello. How's it going up in camp?
Yep, it's going very well. Just let me clean my lens.
Okay.
There we go. Camp is going very well. We've done a good solid 8 weeks down here in Morecambe. We've put the work in like never before. We've had top sparring, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. So everything's gone smooth, There's been no stone left unturned. So roll on fight night. We both can't wait to get rocking.
Absolutely. 94,000 people you're going to be fighting in front of. Does that give you any nerves?
No, not at all. I mean, we was actually talking about it the other day. With my whole boxing career, there's always been pressure. There's always been pressure on my shoulders, even on a spar, an amateur fight, whatever it may be. Oh, that's Fury, that's Tyson's brother. Let's have a look. So everywhere I've gone and whatever I've tried to do has always been pressure on it. So over the years, it just kind of fell off me. And with obviously Love Island, I'm used to, big crowds of people. I'm used to, being in front of the cameras, all that sort of stuff. So none of that stuff really phases me. So I'm looking forward to getting in the ring, putting on a great performance and moving on to the next.
Tell me about Daniel Bosianski. What do you know about him?
We've watched him. We haven't watched too much of him, but from what I can see, he's tall, he's rangy. He possesses a good record. He's only lost to a man who was 20-4. But at the end of the day, I know what I've got, and I'm going out there and I'm going to put on a boxing clinic, if you will. I'm going to showcase some nice skills, some nice power, some nice sharp, crisp combinations, and I can't wait because I may not have done certain things in other camps and whatever, but sparring's been on point for this camp and this fight. So and I feel like it's a big thing for me, getting my time and stuff like that. That's what we've really knuckled down on. So I can't wait to put it all into action.
Does it help being around the whole Tyson build-up as well, and maybe take the pressure off you a little bit, and the fact that you're in sync together and you're training together, and your brothers, and you've got this whole team up there. Joseph Parker's up there. You've got loads of sparring. You could spar with heavyweights if you want to.
I think I'll pass.
But does that help though, being inside that whole infused scene?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always nice to be around, elite level company, and all of them around here is former world champions and current world champions. So it's nice to be around. You learn an awful lot. Not even just in the gym, just sitting around talking. You learn a lot mentally. And I feel like me being up here for 8 weeks and being away from everything, away from social media, I've really had a chance to knuckle down like never before, because I've always had stuff going on outside of the ring and what have you. So the fact that I've been able to knuckle down and just stay in this house around Tyson, around the likes of Joe Parker and Big Baby Miller's come over as well. Being around these guys, it's like I say, you're only as good as the company you mix. And if I'm mixing with all world champions, it can't be bad, can it?
Talking of being away from outside boxing, your soulmate Molly May revealed that there is a bit of bickering at home, and it surrounded cats. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. We have 2 sons on board called Eggy and Bread, and they're new additions to the Fury household. But they've been good. It's been nice. I've missed a lot of stuff, to be honest, for this camp, because obviously, as you all know now, it's been out there that we're moving house. I've missed that. I've not been part of that really, because I've just been isolated. The cats and stuff like that. It's all nice things going on, isn't it? But I've not been there. I've been here training away, knuckling, sacrificing, and I don't feel like I get enough credit, because I don't need to be here. I'm not saying that in an arrogant way or a cocky way or anything like that. But boxing is the hardest sport in the world, and I have an easy out. I can do something else for a living. I don't need to do this. But the fact that I'm doing this and working as hard as I am and sacrificing as much as I am, I owe it to myself and to everybody else around me and my full team to go out there on April 23rd and put on a masterclass performance. And I know I'm capable of it, because we're seeing it time after time in the gym. It's just about transferring underneath the lights.
What is this thing about you not following instructions when your other half was away and not feeding the cats properly, though?
Listen, it's just a male thing, isn't it? We all slip up here and there. I think I forgot to mix the food together with a spoon. Apparently, the cats don't like it if it's separate, so I've got to put that down in the notes for next time. I'm sure I'll get a few lessons on it after the fight.
You're giving them too many treats, apparently.
I mean, we all like treats now, don't we? They are my sons, and I have a sweet tooth, so they're going to have a sweet tooth. So they've been getting a lot of dreamies off me. So keep feeding them up. I like them nice and fat anyway, nice and cute.
Tyson has 6 children.
Yeah.
Are you planning to have children soon?
I mean, who knows? Who knows? One could be on the way. One could not be on the way. No, I'm only messing before the newspapers print that everywhere. No, but it's definitely, I've always said, I want a big family. And whenever the time's right, it's right. Me and Molly are both young. We're not even 23 years old yet. We're 23, both 23 in May next month. So, there's plenty of time for us. We're just enjoying life, enjoying, our work, what we've got going on, traveling the world, going on nice holidays. There's plenty of time for all that stuff. But I think it'll come sooner rather than later, because, like I said, I've always wanted to be that family man. I've always wanted to have a lot of kids. So, listen, why not start young? I found a woman that I want to be with, so let's start reproducing.
Honestly, take me back to before you went on Love Island. Did you ever think when you went on there, and I'm sure you just went on for a bit of fun, did you realise when you went on there, obviously you wanted to box as well, that you would become like a loved figure in British society just from being on a reality TV show where you got to show your personality, where you fell in love? It's probably a double-edged sword in some ways. It's massive publicity. It projects you. You've got projection of your family who are incredibly steeped in boxing, from your uncles to your brothers, but also at the same time, you've got this public profile that's, like you say, you could actually live in that profile if you wanted to, and make a living from that. Is it a double-edged sword at times for you or not?
I think it just boils down to what you want to do in life, really. I mean, ever since I come out of Love Island, I had 2 choices. One could be, stand in front of a camera and take pictures with different tracksuits on and post them on Instagram for a living. Or one could be to challenge myself and stick to my goals and stick to my dreams that I set for myself when I was a young kid. And, I always promised myself as a child that I'll be a world champion. And I know it's a very, hard thing to accomplish, the hardest thing in the world to accomplish, but I've got that burning desire in me. And like I say, you have good days and bad days in the gym, and I just ride it out, through every single day. And I never lose sight of that vision. I could have gone down a very different route, but my purpose in life isn't to take, pictures and have the easy way out and just have an easy life. I don't like that. I like a challenge. And for me, that life, it is very much on the side of boxing, and I'm very lucky to have it there as another income. But my main focus is on fighting and boxing, because it's a challenge to me. That's what excites me. That's what makes me train as hard as I am. It's what makes me get up in the morning, because I have something to work towards. Whereas if I went down the other route of being an Instagram influencer or whatever like that, even though I make underneath that title, that doesn't give me a challenge. That doesn't motivate me to get out of bed every day. It doesn't satisfy me. I like to have a challenge in my life and something to work towards. And it's just a passion of mine. It is a passion. I love training, I love keeping myself in shape. I love getting better. I love learning new things. So, I'm very happy at the life I'm living. And when we're out of training camp, I can travel the world. I can make income off Instagram. I live, a life that I'm very, very happy with, and thank God every day that I've got it.
You're going to stay at 12 stone 7, yeah?
Well, I'm hoping so.
You're going to stay.
Well, definitely not after this fight. Definitely not after this fight. I'll be about 16 stone 7 after this fight, and that is no lie. And then I'll stay in the gym, keep myself nice and fit and healthy, but I'll be eating like crazy as I always do. But yeah, we're staying at light heavy for the time being, unless I get a massive growth spurt and end up in the heavyweights. But I can't see that coming anytime soon.
But the great thing is, the reason I was pushing towards that was, you know, Dan Aziz as British champion at the moment, who's joined a group of fighters. Obviously, you've got a couple of years to come to catch up with the Joshua Boatzis, the Anthony Yards, the Craig Richards, the Callum Smith. There's so many great fights. Callum John, there's so many great fights for you to have in Britain, let alone with some of the world champions. It's a fantastic division to be heading upwards in at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the light heavyweight division in England is probably, you know, if not the best division to be in at the minute. It's definitely thriving. And it's great for me to sit back and watch these guys go at it and take different stuff and learn different things from everybody, because that's the stage of career that I'm really at the minute. You know, I only had 10 amateur fights, so I've had 7 professional fights. I'm a novice learning on the job, but I've had plenty of years in the gym, having good sparring, being around good quality fighters as I am now. And this is just the process that we're on, you know, getting as many fights in as possible, trying to stay as active as possible. And just with every fight, getting better. You know, if we can take one positive out of every fight and one new thing out of every fight, we're doing well, because with me, there's no rush. You know, like I said, I'm still 22. You know, there's no need for me to rush.
Yeah, God, 22. How disappointed? I've got to ask, how disappointed were you not that you had to pull out with injury against Jake Paul? It must have been gutting for you, because, you know, the flack you took for that, it was a genuine injury. We know that. I've spoken to John about it. I've spoken to you about it at the time, and to Tyson. How gutting was it to pull out? And do you still want to do that fight with Jake Paul?
Yeah, 100%. You know, that fight is, in my eyes, that fight's always there. And if he wants the big fights and the big numbers and the big pay-per-views, he knows where to come. But as for pulling out of that fight, you know, it was one of the worst times of my life, because it was something that we all work towards as a boxer, and to have that, you know, that goal in life to, you know, headline a major event in America overseas is something we want and train for all our lives. And for it to be 2 weeks away and then come out with such a devastating injury with a broken rib and being told not to fight by 3, you know, medical doctors, it was a hard blow to take, and it still is when I think back about it. But I try not to think about it too much, because I've left it in 2021. We're in a brand new year. It's going to be my year. And I do believe that fight will come around, because at the end of the day, like I said before, he knows where the big numbers are. He knows where the big pay-per-views are. And that's that. I ain't pushing for nothing. I've got my own career to get on with. And my career at the minute is going from strength to strength. You know, I'm just about to fight at Wembley on a massive undercard in front of 94,000. So we can't get any better, can you? So we're not living in the past. We are living in today. And today is very bright, and I'm feeling good.
Well, it's brilliant to see you. You look bright, you look good, and we'll see you in fight week at Wembley. Thanks so much for your time, Tommy.
Thank you very much. God bless, and I'll see you soon.
Well, joining me, looking very Miami-esque right now, and he's had a trim because he had a big beard when Savannah Marshall fought recently. It was rather a kind of Christmas beard, I felt, Peter. You've been trimmed up. You look slick and sleek. What was the reason for getting the beard done, first of all?
Just in the training camp. Don't care what I look like. Don't care what the crowd see. But listen, it's all about the fighter. It's irrelevant what I look like. I'm just a miserable old man, just helping my fighters get the job done. And you know, look, Father Christmas does give presents, so there you are.
Well, you are a very miserable old man, but you're a very fine trainer as well. I do love your miserable takes on social media, which I jest. I mean, I know you well enough to know that you really are a straight talker. And I think it's really appreciated, actually, in the boxing industry that you are such a straight talker, because a lot of people watching the sport from the outside are mystified by so many things in the sport, aren't they? You know?
Listen, so many people suck up to champions, or, you know, slick, or whatever they're going to do. That's not the case here. You know, I just always said to my fighters, if you're good enough, you'll get there. don't have to kiss anybody's ass, you know, just be real. And there's too many smack talkers out there, too many, you know, just do cringe shit to get some likes on the videos. That's not what I'm about. So I just say what I do. So I'm interested in one thing. That's producing world level fighters. That's what I've always said. I've always been in boxing to produce world level fighters, and that's what I'm interested in. And you know, we work hard. We work very hard actually. But I've got no time for playing games. And I think the public, they like to hear what's on your mind, you know, and say things as you feel. You know, one day can be good, one day can be all over the place. So you just say what you think, and that's it. You know, you just do the best you can, and yeah, I just say what's on my mind, and you know, that's me.
It's, on that note, I mean, I remember back in Dusseldorf in 2015 with Tyson Fury, when you were training him, you were his main trainer when he won the world title against Vladimir Klitschko, that there were things in that fight week where you spoke out and spoke your mind as well. The foam under the canvas, how thick it was, the weigh-in scales, which kind of were there maybe to throw things off. Do you remember all of that?
I remember a lot of other people taking the credit and saying they did all that. So, you know, I'm just a nobody, me. I'm just somebody who sits in the back, you know, gets things done. And it seems that everybody else takes credit for what I do, but that's another story. But like I said, yeah, you know, look, I see everything, and I'm always in the fighter's interest. You know, I do the best I can, and you know, and we, you know, regards to that event, absolutely, that was we hadn't trained for a marshmallow canvas, and that would have took his legs away, and you know, no doubt would have cost him that fight. But like I said, we sussed it out, and you know, we got to the bottom of it, and you know, and history was made there. It all went good, thank God.
Well, I bring you to another fighter you're working with right now. I interviewed Savannah before she won last week spectacularly against Femke Hermans, and she said, boxing is a game, she said in this interview I did with her, boxing is a dirty game full of broken promises. I'm lucky to have Peter Fury in my corner. Your connection together has been quite extraordinary. Did you think it would be when she walked into the gym 3.5 years ago?
My connection together is telling the truth, and you know, getting Savannah as much money as she can possibly get, doing deals where she gets maximum revenues, and everything I've said, you know, has happened. You know, she's a tremendous fighter, and you know, we've got a good bond together. That trust is there, and you know, speak what you produce. You know, say, if you tell people the truth and you go about things properly and you're honest with people, then there's no you know, everybody's in the clear, and you know, that's what builds relationships, isn't it?
Well, you've also helped her to come. I mean, I remember Savannah when I knew her as a 20-year-old. She could barely say a word when you spoke to her. You know, I've been around interviewing people a long time, and she was so shy. But she's really grown a lot more in the last 3.5 years, not just in the ring, but outside it as well. Have you noticed that about her as well?
I have. She's really come into her own. She's calm. She's relaxed. It's all about believing in your own ability. And she's seen that time and time again. And, you know, I've always stressed to her, you know, the power she has, you know, especially in the jab. I think somebody done an Instagram where I was taking on the pads just the day before the fight or 2 days before the fight. And I said, you know, that jab is like a hammer, you know, and sure enough, she hit her opponent, Femke, with that jab just before the stoppage. You know, it was a jab that set up the stoppage because the head went right back. She nearly knocked her out with it. And then everything was set up off that jab. So she does, you know, she's a tremendous fighter and gets tremendous power in them shots. So we all need to enjoy Savannah because she's a serious, serious talent.
Well, there is an amazing, I mean, you know, women's boxing has grown exponentially in the last 2-3 years, in the period actually that you've been with Savannah. And this fight with Claressa Shields is fantastic. It's being built amazingly. It will come after Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor go at it in another women's super fight. I mean, I've covered women's boxing all the way back to Layla Ali, who had no opponents at the time 20 odd years ago. But now there's a top echelon of women who can really challenge each other. On paper, a lot of people are saying that that fight is puncher versus boxer, but it is on paper. But in reality, it's not, because, you know, Savannah's a very clever boxer on the outside, married with the Fury style as well, with, you know, great elusiveness, long shots. And then in short, she's got very powerful hooks, hasn't she? And that's a very simplification of her style, but it works so well for Hannah Rankin, Femke Hermans now. And she's done things by stopping those women, which Claressa Shields hasn't been able to do. But you know, you're a wise man in boxing. It isn't just puncher versus boxer when those two women come together, is it? It's a fascinating fight, because maybe Savannah is going to have to be busier than in the past in some of that fight.
Well, I'll give you an instance. The way Savannah boxed Femke Hermans would not be good enough for Claressa Shields, you know, because these are different opponents. You know, the difference with them, Femke Hermans, well, I can't spell her name.
Femke Hermans, yeah, you don't. Come on, you speak Belgium. You speak Flemish, don't you?
No, I don't. I wish I did. But Femke Hermans, yeah, you know, it was because there was nothing to be afraid of what was coming back. And what I mean by that is, you know, not walking into a barrage of shots, don't get me wrong, but there was no real value there. So all of it was pushing the opponent, getting her to hit back, you know, getting her a bit of a comfort zone, and then she could land the shots. And, you know, that's what happened, you know. In the second round, she upped it a bit. And the third round, she got in gear, decided there was nothing of any value, so she just went in for it. And she can afford to miss. She can afford to make some mistakes, because she can get away with them against opponents like that. Claressa Shields would be a different ball game, and it'll be a totally different fight. And Savannah will have to start, you know, and she will be. She'll be a lot more sharper and everything else. So, you know, every fight has got to be gone differently. And you're right. If I relied on Savannah with the power on Claressa Shields, and that'd be a big mistake, because look, power only takes you so far. If you can't land it, you're wasting your time. And if you get frustrated, you know, then after so many rounds, you've got no power, because desperation sinks in. Yeah. This is a boxing art. And, you know, fortunately for Savannah, I can see all these obstacles as clear as daylight. So she'll be going in there with her eyes wide open, knowing exactly what Claressa Shields brings and everything else. So I'm fully aware of it. Highly confident Savannah will come through that fight, and it's going to be, but it's going to be a hell of a fight. It'll be the stiffest test of Savannah's career so far, but it will also be a very stiff test for Claressa Shields as well. So it makes for a brilliant fight.
And a brilliant build-up as well, the kind of things that people from my end love as well. There's going to be so much anticipation around it. Obviously, you're from the Fury family, steeped in boxing. The resonance of the Fury family is all over the boxing world, and it's come enormously in the last 10, 12, 13 years, based on how much love of the sport there is in your family through generations, 10 generations of bare knuckle boxers, fighters, travelers. As I've told a story before in the Telegraph and all over the place, that did you ever think when you were younger that you would be training a woman boxer?
I didn't think I'd be training fighters, period, Gareth, to be honest. Never mind women boxers. So no, it just shows you don't know what the future brings. But boxing for me has been a lifesaver, because, you know, before boxing, you know, I was in all kinds of difficulties. What I mean by that is trouble, getting the wrong side of the law and everything else.
You went to prison for 10 years. We spoke about it once.
Well, I went to prison for 10 years, but also had massive problems with the police for another 10 years. Yeah. So I paid monstrous fines, you know, a lot of money, what probably people's never going to see in their lifetime, or lifetimes 2 times over. But it is one of them. You live and learn, and you get older, you get wiser. So with boxing, you know, it's helped me, and, you know, I'm fortunate enough that I can help others. So it's a brilliant sport when it's done properly. But ultimately, the bond with the fighter, for me, seeing them go through their camps, excuse me, being uncertain about certain things, bringing the fighter through, knowing where they was, knowing where they are now, seeing the joy and the happiness of them when they win, that for me is priceless. And that's why I still do it. It's hard work, this game. And I say to myself regular, why am I still doing this? It's not a money thing. Obviously I've got finances outside of boxing. It's not nothing to do with the money side. So I'm thinking to myself, do I need this? But yet I'm in the gym every day and I'm doing it because when I get the likes of Savannah, I got my son Huey, I got a few other fighters I'm bringing through, the sheer joy and what it does for the fighter as well makes it all worthwhile for me.
I'm just going to move a second, Peter. I'm just going to put this on. Right, here we go. One of the things, oh God, I need my notes as well. Peter, it'd be remiss of me not to ask you, I mean, you say about the bond between trainer and fighter. Obviously, the biggest bond you've got with one of your fighters is with Huey. Huey Fury, he's 27 now. It honestly feels like Huey's been around. I've been around a while, but it feels like he's been around 10 years in the heavyweight division. It's not quite 10 years, but, in the professional heavyweight division, but he's been through world titles already. He's been through an awful lot already. He's been through a lot of criticism. Where's his power? But he's been in with all but the very top 2 or 3 fighters in the division, right? He's coming into his own now, isn't he? Isn't he coming into his prime just about now in the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, he's there, isn't he? He's got a stiff fight coming up. What's going to be announced next week. That will put him in the mandatory position for the world title. So he's in serious fights. And yeah, look, people outside of boxing don't really understand, but we've had a young heavyweight turn pro at 18 years of age, which is no age. So he's had 29 fights and he's only 27. Yeah. He's fought for a world title. Really, he's an uncrowned WBO world champion. Let's have it right. And, so at such a young age, at 22, but whatever it is. So he's only lost 3 times, but those 3 fights, one of them was very questionable. The other one, he got cut severely in Bulgaria. And, against Povetkin, he didn't do enough in the later rounds. He seemed to tire, and Povetkin got on top of him, and he lost it by 2 or 3 rounds, in my opinion. So he's got a top pedigree, Huey, and he's a different fighter today, and that's what people's going to see. So it's not for me to big him up and say anything. Huey Fury is the only real fighter that out there. One of them, I should say. One of the only few, not the only one, but I will say one of the only few that's took serious tests at a young age. And he's taking a serious test now as well. He's not somebody that's moving around, being a clever promoter's dream, sugarcoating and protecting a fighter because he's vulnerable. Huey's taking stern tests, world-level tests. And this next fight, when it gets announced, will show just that. He's ready to fight anybody, anytime. So he's going to be out again very soon. And, I'm saying it here, and I've always said it. He's a world champion in the wings, and he's going to be. And when he gets there, a lot of people outside everything to say will disappear, and they'll become fans overnight because that's the boxing world. But I don't mind. It's all okay. My job is, I know what I've got. I know what my lad's capable of, and I know he's a top fighter, and his time's coming, and it's going to be very, very soon.
Well, I'm assuming it's 4 with the WBA, I think, and 14 with the IBF at the moment. I'm assuming the fight's going to be with one of the people in those divisions.
He's now been moved to number 3, and he's fighting either Elenius or Hunter, and that's going to be announced in the next week which one it is.
Cool, sounds brilliant. On staying on heavyweight boxing, Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk, we're told is going to be announced fairly soon, wherever it's going to be. It's expected to be in late June. Do you believe that Joshua's got a good chance in the second fight against Usyk?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's got a good chance of winning it.
What would you advise him to do if you were in his corner, Peter? And were you approached at all?
No, not at all. Nobody's approached me to do anything, and I didn't expect any approach from Joshua or his team as well. So I don't know where that's come from. I'm just somebody who gets asked and I give an opinion. So This is all it is. But I think Joshua's a good fighter, a good boxer, and he just needs to box to his own DNA rather than trying to box to orders and what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately, this is the fight game. And, you know, us trainers, we're not in there doing the fighting, are we? It's up to us to educate the fighter, get them to do certain things, and then saying to the fighter, right, get in there and put your own stamp on it, you know, because everybody's got their own fingerprint. And this is what Joshua's problem's been in the past. He's almost boxed manufactured because he's boxing to specific orders. And that's not a bad thing because he's a dedicated fighter. He does everything right. He cuts no corners. But that's almost can be his undoing. The same as what it was Klitschko's undoing. Because when you're so perfect, everything goes wrong. You know, because you need to box to your style. You've got to put your own, got to put your own spice to it. You know, you can be educated, you can do your own thing, you know, but, you know, you can't have the fighter fighting through your eyes outside of the ring. You know, you've got to explain to the fighter and say, right, but just where you think that works. Get them on the pads, adjust what you think. Anyhow, and box to your own style. And I think if Joshua does that, he's a big, big man. He can hit. He's got agility. He moves well. He's just got to adapt to that. And I think once he adapts to that, you'll see a different fighter. Will he beat Usyk? It's a 50-50 in my opinion, because Usyk is the real deal. He's a top fighter. You know, forget being a small heavyweight, 16 stone, and forget Joshua coming in, getting all over him. I'm afraid that's not going to work. Because when you walk into a southpaw, that backhand is an hammer. And Usyk's got the power to put anybody away. So you're not walking into this guy like they think they're going to walk in, because you're going to find your legs gone from underneath you and you're on your back. And there's a third man in the ring to think about. Because when a referee sees you stumbling like Bambi all over the ring, he's stopping it. So you can't just do what you like and think, oh, I'm going to do this, or get a pump of adrenaline because somebody's, you know, putting an adrenaline pump up your ear saying basically, go on, you're the man, you can do it, because all that is amateur bullshit and people that don't understand fighting. You know, let's get a reality grip here. Joshua, he's a naturally bigger man. He's probably got longer reach. And if he uses his attributes right, he can come away with a win. And I think he just needs to relax and think, right, I've done everything I need to do. Don't overcomplicate the matter. Get in there and always find a home for the jab. And then everything comes off the jab. That's getting your distance. And like I've always said, the jab is your navigation. Yeah? It's a telescopic sight for pulling the trigger, because you don't pull that trigger unless you know it's going to land. So this is the thing. So establish the jab. And he's got a good jab. And it's not just about jabbing. It's about jabbing and moving your feet in range. You know, stepping out, stepping in, creating angles and all of this. There's a lot more to the jab. It's not just a jab. It's a jab getting the body in range to throw the jab, to land the jab on your distance. It's a distance finder. So it's all of that. So that's what he needs to do anyway. We can go on forever, Gareth.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this then. Your nephew Tyson Fury defends the WBC title against Dillian Whyte on April the 23rd, the most attended event, biggest boxing event ever in the UK, with 94,000 people going. Have you found it odd yourself? I can't remember at any time when a boxer has said nothing in the build-up to a big fight like this, i.e. Dillian Whyte. And what are the problems that Dillian poses for Tyson, and how do you see that fight going? On the absence of Dillian Whyte, first of all, and maybe how bizarre it is for all of us.
I think, to be honest with you, Gareth, look, you know, I wish, obviously, his family members, I wish them well in the fight, but obviously they don't comment on none of my fights, so I'll refrain to comment on any of theirs. But safe to say, you know, his family, I wish them all the best in that fight. That's, you know, that's where it starts and ends for me.
But you believe Tyson wins?
I think he's good enough to beat anybody. He's definitely got a better skill set. You know, he's a bigger man, you know, and I think, but look, you can't underestimate any fighter. And Dillian Whyte's, you know, he's a rough fighting man and he can bang as well. So, you know, it's a good fight and definitely a must see. It's not a foregone conclusion, but if he uses his talents properly, doesn't get carried away, you know, he should come out with it.
Final thing, does it help you and Huey Fury that potentially Tyson, the Klitschko brothers could never fight each other and they dominated the heavyweight division for a while? would it help if Tyson is eventually gone for Huey to emerge through? Does that, because obviously they'd never fight each other, they're family. Do you think that might help Huey when Tyson eventually retires?
I don't think it means anything. No, they'll never fight. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
So but hopefully he reigns there and he stays there. What's he going to retire for? 31, 32. He can stay in this game till he's 38.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm not interested in what he does or what he doesn't do. You need to keep boxing, keep winning, and that's it. Huey's doing his own thing and he'll get there. And if Huey fights for that world title, there's one in our sights and it comes available, he'll just sit with that. That's it. World champion, job done. And if he gets it, then almost it is like the Klitschko's, what I said back in 2015.
I remember us talking about it years ago,
Exactly. So it'd be a great thing. So hopefully neither one gets derailed and we get there in the end.
Peter, it's always brilliant to hear your wisdom and speak to you and see you look incredibly well. And I do like the shorn beard. It is, you were starting to look like a Hell's Angel biker, I think, with the long beard.
But I just need a studded leather jacket.
Exactly.
Right. Mind you, I do like the Harley Davidson, so I think I'm going to take my test and ride the Harley Davidson up and down the south of France. So I'll probably just do that.
Great to see you. Thank you so much for your time, as always.
And you, Gareth. God bless, mate, and good luck with everything.